Have you ever laid your head on your pillow at night, staring into the darkness, wondering how the bills will be paid, how the rent will come, how the debt will be cleared, while somewhere deep inside you a quiet voice whispers that there must be another way? What if I told you that the very moment you close your eyes tonight could become the most powerful financial turning point of your entire life? What if a solution to every monetary challenge you face is not out there in the struggle and strain of the world, but within you, in a place so profound and so connected to the infinite riches of the universe that the moment you learn to touch it correctly, provision flows toward you as naturally as rivers flow to the sea? Tonight, before you sleep, you stand at a threshold. On one side is the old way of fear, worry, and endless striving. On the other side is a principle so ancient, so trusted, so repeatedly proven that it has lifted countless souls from poverty to plenty, from desperation to freedom. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. The same law that holds the planets in their orbits, the same intelligence that grows an oak tree from an acorn, the same power that beats your heart without your conscious effort. This same infinite presence is ready tonight to move on your behalf in the realm of your finances. But you must know how to speak to it. You must understand the language of the subconscious mind. You must learn what to do in those sacred moments before sleep when the gateway between your conscious will and your subconscious power stands wide open. If you feel in your spirit that you were meant to find this message, that this is your moment, then I invite you to do 3 things right now. First, subscribe to this channel as an act of faith in your own transformation. Second, press the like button, not for me, but as a signal to your own subconscious mind that you are ready to receive. And third, leave a comment with these words: "My bills are paid in divine order." Write it as a declaration, as a seed planted in faith. Now, let us begin. You have been taught to believe that money comes only through labor, only through effort, only through the sweat of your brow and the grinding of your days into dust. And while action has its place, while movement in the physical world is part of the process, you have not been told the deeper truth. You have not been shown the hidden spring from which all supply flows. You have been looking at the branches while ignoring the root. You have been struggling with effects while remaining ignorant of the cause. The cause of all wealth, the origin of all provision, the source of every dollar that has ever come into your life or ever will come, is consciousness. It is your inner conviction. It is a silent assumption your subconscious mind holds about money, about yourself, about what you deserve, about what is possible. And until you change that inner pattern, that deep belief, you will continue to experience the same financial limitations no matter how hard you work, no matter how many hours you labor, no matter how desperately you try. But when you change the inner, the outer must follow. This is law. This is principle. This is the way the universe operates. Your subconscious mind is not merely a storage place for memories. It is not simply the background hum of your automatic thoughts. It is a creative medium through which the infinite intelligence of God manifests in your individual life. It is a soil in which every seed of thought you plant will grow into the harvest of your experience. And tonight, before you sleep, you have the opportunity to plant a seed so powerful, so aligned with divine abundance, that it must produce fruit in your financial world. Listen closely to these words, for they contain a mystery that the world does not teach. Your subconscious mind does not argue. It does not debate. It does not question whether what you impress upon it is true or false, possible or impossible, reasonable or absurd. It simply accepts. It receives the impression you give it and immediately begins to work in ways you cannot see, through channels you do not control, orchestrating circumstances and events in the outer world to match the inner pattern you have established. Right now, in this very moment, your subconscious mind is outpicturing your habitual thinking about money. If you habitually think lack, if you habitually feel fear about bills, if you habitually say to yourself that you cannot afford, that you never have enough, that money is hard to come by, then your subconscious mind accepts this as instruction and proceeds to create experiences that validate these beliefs. You are not a victim of external circumstances. You are living in the world your own consciousness has built. But the moment you understand this, you are free. Because if your consciousness created your current financial condition, then a change in consciousness will create a different condition. You do not need anyone's permission. You do not need special educational connections or family wealth. You need only to learn the art of impressing your subconscious mind with a belief in abundance, the feeling of wealth, the inner conviction that your bills are already paid, that provision is already on its way, that the infinite riches of God are flowing into your experience now. There was once a woman who worked 2 jobs and still could not meet her expenses. Every month was a crisis. Every bill was a source of anxiety. She would lie awake at night calculating and recalculating, trying to stretch pennies, trying to find a way through the maze of her obligations. And the more she focused on what she lacked, the more lack appeared. Unexpected expenses arrived. Hours were cut. Opportunities vanished. She was locked in a cycle, and she did not know why. Then she learned this principle. She learned that her constant worry, her perpetual focus on insufficiency, was the very thing instructing her subconscious mind to produce more insufficiency. She learned that the moment before sleep were moments of power, when her conscious mind relaxed its grip and her subconscious became most receptive to new impressions. And so she began a practice. Every night, as she lay in bed, instead of rehearsing her problems, instead of listing her debts, instead of replaying the fear, she began to imagine a different scene. She imagined herself opening a bank account and seeing it filled. She imagined herself paying her bills with ease and joy. She imagined herself breathing freely, no longer crushed under the weight of financial pressure. She did not try to figure out how this would happen. She did not demand details. She simply felt the feeling of relief, the feeling of freedom, the feeling of being financially secure. At first, her conscious mind resisted. It said this was foolish, that imagination would not pay the rent. But she persisted. Night after night, she returned to this inner scene, saturating it with feeling, allowing herself to experience emotionally what it would be like to have her financial needs met. And then something remarkable began to happen. An old friend contacted her out of nowhere with a job opportunity she had not applied for. A billing error was discovered in her favor, crediting her account. A relative, without being asked, sent her money as a gift. Within weeks, the financial pressure began to ease. Within months, she was not only meeting her obligations but beginning to save. She had not changed anything in the outer world first. She had changed her inner world, her inner conviction, and the outer circumstances rearranged themselves to match. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is a subconscious mind operating according to its nature, which is to manifest in the outer world whatever is impressed upon it with feeling and belief. And you have this same power. You have this same connection to infinite intelligence. You have this same ability to change your financial experience by changing your inner state. The Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Not as he thinks in his head, with passing thoughts and surface wishes, but as he thinks in his heart, in the depth of his being, in the subconscious mind where true belief resides. Your heart, in the biblical sense, is your subconscious. It is the seat of your faith, the foundation of your experience. What you truly believe at that level, you will become. What you feel at that level, you will experience. So many people pray for money with their lips while believing in poverty with their hearts. They ask for abundance while feeling lack. They declare prosperity while imagining failure. And then they wonder why their prayers are not answered. But prayer is not begging. Prayer is not pleading with a distant deity who may or may not respond. Prayer is the act of aligning your consciousness with the truth of infinite supply. Prayer is the practice of impressing upon your subconscious mind the reality of your desire already fulfilled. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 11, verse 24, you are given the secret. What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Believe that you receive them, not believe that you will receive them someday in the distant future. Believe that you receive them now, in the present moment. This is a feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is a state of consciousness that activates the creative power of your subconscious mind. When you lie down tonight, before sleep takes you, you will not beg for money. You will not plead for bills to be paid. You will not rehearse your problems. Instead, you will assume the feeling of already having what you need. You will close your eyes and enter into the quiet awareness that your needs are met, that divine intelligence is managing your financial affairs, that every bill is paid in perfect order. You may say, "But I do not feel wealthy. I do not feel secure. My bank account is still empty. My debts are still real." And I say to you, that is precisely why you must do this work. You are not denying the fact of the outer world. You are changing the consciousness that created those facts. You are going to the source, to the cause, and altering it. And when the cause changes, the effects must follow. There was a man who owned a small business that was failing. He had tried every strategy, every marketing plan, every cost-cutting measure. Nothing worked. The money coming in was always less than the money going out, and he was drowning. He feared losing everything. He feared bankruptcy. He feared the shame of failure. But this man heard about the power of the subconscious mind. He heard that if he could change his inner conviction, his outer world would shift. At first, he thought it sounded absurd. He was a practical man, accustomed to deals and numbers and tangible actions. But desperation opened his mind. He decided to try. Every night for 30 days, he practiced a mental discipline. Before sleep, he would enter a relaxed state, and he would imagine his accountant calling him with good news. He would imagine hearing the words, "Sales are up, profits are strong, the business is thriving." He would imagine the feeling of relief, of pride, of success. He did not visualize the struggle. He did not imagine working harder. He imagined the end result, the wish fulfilled, and he felt it as real. During the day, whenever fear arose, whenever he was tempted to worry, he would return to that inner feeling. He would remind himself that his subconscious mind was now working on his behalf, arranging circumstances, attracting opportunities, guiding him toward the success he had impressed upon it. And then the outer world began to move. A client he had forgotten about returned with a large order. A competitor went out of business, sending customers his way. A new product idea came to him seemingly out of nowhere, and it sold beyond his expectations. Within 2 months, his business had turned around. Within 6 months, he was more profitable than he had ever been. He did not understand all the mechanics of how it happened. He could not trace every step of the process. But he knew that something had shifted inside him first, and the outer world had responded. He had stopped fighting against his circumstances and had instead changed the consciousness that was creating them. This is a principle you must grasp. You are not at the mercy of the economy. You are not at the mercy of your employer or your clients or the stock market. You are living in a universe that is mental and spiritual in nature, a universe that responds to belief, to assumption, to the inner patterns of thought and feeling you habitually hold. And the power to change those patterns is yours. The infinite intelligence that created galaxies, that sustains life on this planet, that orchestrates the seasons and the tides, this same intelligence is within you. It is not separate from you. It is not far away in heaven, unreachable and indifferent. It is the very consciousness in which you live and move and have your being. And your subconscious mind is your point of contact with this infinite power. When you impress an idea upon your subconscious mind, you are setting into motion forces that transcend your individual effort. You are enlisting the aid of a power that knows no limitation, that can open doors no human hand can open, that can bring resources from directions you never imagined. But you must believe, you must feel, you must maintain the inner conviction even when the outer world has not yet conformed. This is where most people fail. They try the technique once or twice. They visualize for a few nights, and when nothing changes immediately, they give up, they return to worry, they return to doubt. They say, it doesn't work. But the principle always works. The law is always in operation. What fails is not the law, but the persistence of belief. Your subconscious mind is like soil. If you plant a seed and then dig it up every day to see if it is growing, you will kill it. But if you plant the seed, cover it, water it, and leave it alone with faith, it will sprout in its own time. You do not make the seed grow. The life within the seed and the receptivity of the soil do that. Your job is only to plant and to believe. So tonight, you will plant a seed. You will impress upon your subconscious mind the idea that your bills are paid, that your financial needs are met, that abundance is flowing into your life. And then you will leave it alone. You will not dig it up with doubt. You will not poison it with fear. You will water it each night with the same feeling, the same faith, the same inner vision. And as you do this, you must also watch for the signs of movement. The infinite intelligence that responds to your faith does not usually drop money from the sky. It works through natural channels. It works through people, through ideas, through opportunities, through what appear to be coincidences. Your job is to remain open, to remain alert, to act on the inner promptings you receive. There was a young woman who needed exactly $3,000 to avoid eviction. She had no idea where the money would come from, but she had learned this principle. She spent 3 nights in deep feeling, imagining herself safe in her home, her rent paid, her crisis resolved. She did not know how it would happen, but she felt the relief of it being done. On the fourth day, she felt a sudden urge to call a former employer she had not spoken to in 2 years. She almost ignored it, thinking it was random, but the impulse was strong. She made the call. The employer told her they had been looking for her, that there was a final paycheck and a bonus from a project she had worked on that had never been delivered. The amount was just over $3,000. She did not create that money with her mind in some magical sense. The money had always existed, had always been owed to her, but the inner work she did aligned her consciousness with the reception of it. The subconscious mind, connected to infinite intelligence, guided her to make the call at the right moment. The outer circumstances arranged themselves to match her inner conviction. This is how the law operates. You do not control all the details. You do not need to. You control your consciousness. You control what you believe and feel. And the infinite intelligence, working through your subconscious mind, controls the rest. You must understand that there is no separation between you and the source of all wealth. God is not a being outside of you who decides whether or not to give you money. God is the infinite presence within you, the creative power of your own consciousness. When you align your thoughts and feelings with abundance, you are aligning with God. When you believe in lack, you are blocking the flow, not because God is withholding, but because your own consciousness is constricted. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 32, it is written, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." It is God's pleasure to give you abundance. It is the nature of infinite intelligence to express itself through you in every form of good, including financial good. The only thing that blocks this flow is your own fear, your own doubt, your own habitual belief in limitation. So you must stop fearing. You must stop rehearsing disaster. You must stop giving your mental and emotional energy to the very thing you do not want. Every time you worry about a bill, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the belief that you cannot pay it. Every time you speak words of lack, you are planting seeds of poverty. Every time you feel the emotion of financial fear, you are instructing the creative power within you to produce more experiences that match that fear. But you can stop this today. You can stop it tonight. You can decide, as an act of will, that you will no longer feed the consciousness of lack. You will no longer give your inner vision to poverty. From this moment forward, you will discipline your mind to dwell on abundance, to feel the reality of provision, to assume that your needs are met and that you live in a friendly universe that desires your prosperity. This does not mean you ignore practical responsibilities. This does not mean you refuse to take action or manage your affairs wisely. It means you take action from a consciousness of abundance rather than a consciousness of fear. It means you make decisions from faith rather than desperation. It means you trust that as you change within, the without will change to match. There is a principle in Scripture found in Isaiah chapter 45, verses 2 and 3, where God says, "I will go before thee, and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass, and cut in sunder the bars of iron. And I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places." This is a promise of the infinite intelligence to prepare the way before you, to remove obstacles, to reveal resources you did not know existed. But you must walk forward in faith. You must move in the direction of your belief. You must assume the state of consciousness that corresponds to the answer you seek. And as you do, the crooked places in your financial life will be made straight. The barriers that seemed immovable will break apart. The hidden resources will be revealed. The subconscious mind, when properly directed, will lead you to the people, the information, the opportunities, the ideas that will solve your financial challenges. It will do this not through struggle, but through alignment. It will guide you gently, persistently, faithfully, if you will only trust it. Consider the nature of sleep itself. Why do you suppose the hours before sleep are so critical? Because sleep is a time when your conscious mind, with all its doubts and arguments and limitations, steps aside. Sleep is a time when the subconscious mind takes full control. And whatever you impress upon your subconscious mind in those final moments before sleep sinks deeply into the creative medium and begins to manifest. If you fall asleep worrying, you are programming your subconscious mind to create more situations that produce worry. If you fall asleep in fear, you are planting seeds of fear that will sprout in your experience. But if you fall asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, in the quiet confidence that your bills are paid and your needs are met, you are planting seeds of abundance that must bear fruit. This is why I say to you, watch this before you sleep. Not because there is magic in the watching, but because the message will prepare your consciousness. It will remind you of the truth. It will lift you out of the hypnotic trance of lack and limitation and place you back into alignment with the infinite riches that are your birthright. Tonight, when you close your eyes, you will not toss and turn in anxiety. You will not rehearse your financial problems. You will enter into a state of peaceful assumption. You will say to yourself, quietly and with conviction, my bills are paid. My needs are met. The infinite intelligence of God is managing my financial phase, and all is well. And you will feel this. You will allow the feeling of relief, the feeling of security, the feeling of gratitude to fill you. You may not see evidence immediately. The mail tomorrow may still contain bills. Your bank account may not change overnight. But do not be moved by appearances. Do not let the outer world convince you that your inner work is failing. The seed is planted. The law is in motion. And if you remain faithful to the inner vision, if you continue night after night to impress the same belief upon your subconscious mind, the outer world must and will conform. There was a man who was behind on his mortgage, facing foreclosure. He had exhausted every option. No bank would refinance. No relative could help. He was out of time. And yet, instead of surrendering to despair, he chose to practice this principle. Every night, he imagined holding the deed to his house, free and clear. He imagined the feeling of ownership without debt. He did not know how it could happen, but he refused to accept the appearance of defeat. He persisted in the inner vision. And then, in a way he could never have predicted, a solution appeared. A new government program was announced that perfectly fit his situation. He applied and was accepted. His mortgage was restructured in a way that not only saved his home but reduced his payment significantly. The program had been in development for months, but he had not known about it. The timing of its announcement and his discovery of it seemed miraculous. But it was not chance. It was consciousness. His inner work had aligned him with a solution that was already on its way. You are surrounded by solutions you do not yet see. You are surrounded by resources you do not yet recognize. The infinite intelligence knows where every dollar is. It knows every opportunity. It knows every person who can help you, every idea that can transform your situation. And as you align your consciousness with abundance, as you impress upon your subconscious mind the belief that your bills are paid and your needs are met, this intelligence will guide you to the solutions. But you must do your part. You must guide your mind. You must refuse to indulge in negative conversations about money. You must stop agreeing with people who speak lack. You must stop watching news that fills you with fear about the economy. You must stop feeding your consciousness with images and words and feelings of poverty. Instead, saturate your mind with the truth of abundance. Read scriptures that speak of God's provision. Meditate on the infinite riches available to you. Speak words of faith and expectation. Surround yourself, as much as possible, with people and ideas that support your belief in prosperity. This is not denial of reality. This is a creation of a new reality. You are not pretending that bills do not exist. You are choosing to focus on the power within you that can pay them. You are shifting your attention from problem to the solution, from the lack to the supply, from the outer appearance to the inner truth. And as you do this consistently, you will begin to notice changes. Small at first, perhaps an unexpected refund, a discount you did not ask for, a gift, a bonus, a new client, a better job offer. These are not accidents. These are the outpicturing of your changed consciousness. These are the subconscious mind, connected to infinite intelligence, bringing into your experience the things that match your inner belief. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not say, this is not enough. Every sign of increase, no matter how small, is evidence that the law is working. Receive it with gratitude. Thank the infinite intelligence for it, and continue to build your faith. The Apostle Paul wrote in Philippians chapter 4, verse 19, My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory. Not according to the economy, not according to your job, not according to your current bank balance, according to his riches, which are infinite, limitless, inexhaustible. You are connected to an infinite source. There is no shortage in the universe. There is no lack in the mind of God. There is only the abundance of creative power, ready to flow into your life the moment you open the channel through belief. So tonight, you will open that channel. You will lie down in peace. You will close your eyes. You will breathe deeply and relax your body. And in that quiet, receptive state, you will speak to your subconscious mind. You will tell it the truth. You will say, "My bills are paid. My financial needs are met. Infinite intelligence is providing for me now. I am safe. I am secure. I am abundant." And you will feel it. You will let the feeling of financial freedom wash over you. You will let yourself experience, if only for a few moments, what it would be like to have more than enough. And as you drift into sleep holding that feeling, you will be planting the seed that will grow into your harvest. This is a secret. This is a power. This is a way the infinite works through you. Not by force, not by struggle, but by belief, by assumption, by the quiet, persistent feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are not alone in this. The infinite intelligence that has guided countless others to financial freedom is with you. It is in you. It is your very consciousness. And as you learn to direct it, as you learn to impress it with faith rather than fear, with abundance rather than lack, it will move heaven and earth to bring your good to you. Do not look at your current circumstances and say it is impossible. Do not let the opinions of others shake your faith. Do not let delay discourage you. The law is always working. The subconscious mind is always creating. And what you persist in believing and feeling, you must eventually experience. So persist. Return night after night to the inner vision. Return again and again to the feeling of financial security. Water the seed with faith. Protect it from the weeds of doubt. And trust that in the perfect time, in the perfect way, your harvest will come. God is about to pay your bills. Not because you begged, not because you earned it through suffering, but because you aligned your consciousness with the truth of infinite supply. You change your inner world, and the outer world is even now rearranging itself to match. There is within you at this very moment a power so vast, so responsive, so utterly faithful to your inner convictions that if you could truly comprehend its magnitude, you would never again know a moment of financial fear. This power does not sleep. It does not rest. It does not take holidays or grow weary. It is a subconscious mind, connected in ways beyond human understanding to the infinite intelligence that governs all creation, and it is working right now to manifest in your outer world whatever you have deeply accepted as true in your inner world. But here is what you must grasp with absolute clarity. This power is neutral. It does not judge your thoughts as good or bad, wise or foolish, constructive or destructive. It simply takes the habitual patterns of your thinking and feeling and reproduces them in your experience with the same faithful precision that a garden reproduces whatever seeds are planted in it. If you plant tomatoes, you do not harvest grapes. If you plant thoughts of lack, you do not harvest abundance. The law is impersonal, but it is exact. For years, perhaps for your entire life, you have been planting seeds unconsciously. You absorb beliefs about money from your parents, from your culture, from your early experiences of struggle or ease. You heard phrases repeated until they became convictions buried in your subconscious mind. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. You have to work hard for every dollar. And these beliefs, planted deep, have been growing silently, producing the harvest you are now experiencing. But today, you take control of the planting. Today, you become a conscious gardener of your own mind. Today, you stop accepting the seeds that others have thrown into your consciousness, and you begin deliberately choosing what you will cultivate. This is not merely positive thinking. This is not shallow affirmation spoken without belief. This is a deep, intentional reprogramming of the subconscious mind to the only language it truly understands, the language of feeling, of assumption, of the wish already fulfilled. Consider the story of a traveling salesman who could not make quota no matter how many doors he knocked on, no matter how many calls he made. He was skilled. He knew his product. He worked longer hours than his colleagues. But month after month, he fell short, and the more he struggled, the worse it became. He began to expect rejection. He began to assume that people would say no before he even made his pitch. And of course, they did. His subconscious mind, accepting his expectation of failure, subtly influenced his tone, his posture, his energy, in ways he could not consciously detect but that potential clients sense immediately. Then he learned this truth. He learned that his outer failure was a result of his inner conviction. He learned that he had been impressing upon his subconscious mind, through worry and doubt and fear, the belief that he was not good enough, that people did not want what he offered, that success was for others but not for him. And so he began a new practice. Every evening, he would sit quietly and imagine his sales manager congratulating him. He would imagine the feeling of being the top performer. He would picture his commission check, larger than it had ever been, and he would feel the pride and satisfaction of success. He did not force this. He did not strain. He simply allowed himself to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to experience in imagination what he desired to experience in reality. Within days, something shifted. He approached clients differently, though he could not explain how. He felt more confident, more relaxed, more certain that people would respond positively. And they did. Sales that would have taken weeks to close were closing in days. Clients who had been on the fence were suddenly ready to buy. Referrals began to come without him asking. Within 1 month, he had not only met his quota but exceeded it by 40%. Within 3 months, he was promoted. He did not change his product. He did not change his territory. He changed his consciousness. And because the outer world is always a reflection of the inner, his external results had no choice but to change as well. This is a principle you must apply to your bills, to your debts, to every financial obligation that now seems to press upon you. You must stop seeing them as immovable mountains. You must stop giving them power through your fear and attention. Instead, you must turn your attention to the infinite supply that is available to you, and you must assume in your imagination that these bills are already paid. Notice I did not say you should pretend they do not exist. I did not say you should ignore them or refuse to take practical action. I said you should assume they are already paid. This is a subtle but critical distinction. You acknowledge the bill, but you refuse to accept the appearance of lack as a final truth. You know that there is a higher truth, a deeper reality, which is that infinite intelligence has infinite resources and is ready to channel them through you the moment you stop blocking the flow with your disbelief. In the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7, you are told, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." This is not a promise that you might receive. This is a statement of law. When you ask in the right way, when you seek with true faith, when you knock with the inner conviction that the door will open, the universe must respond. But the asking must be done correctly. Most people ask from a state of desperation. They ask while believing they do not have. They seek while feeling lost. They knock while doubting the door will open. And so their asking is actually a declaration of lack, and the subconscious mind, ever faithful, produces more lack to match their feeling. But when you ask from a state of faith, when you pray already believing you have received, when you knock with a calm assurance that the door is already opening, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the pattern of abundance. You are aligning your consciousness with the answer rather than the problem. And the answer must come. Let me tell you of a widow who was left with 3 children and a mountain of debt after her husband's sudden passing. She had no income. She had no savings. The creditors were calling daily. She did not know how she would feed her children, let alone pay the bills. Everyone around her saw only disaster. Everyone told her she would lose a house, that she would have to declare bankruptcy, that there was no way out. But this woman had a deep faith. She did not have much education. She did not understand complicated financial strategies. But she understood one thing. She understood that the same God who fed the sparrows and clothed the lilies of the field would not abandon her or her children. She understood that there was a power greater than her circumstances, and she chose to place her trust in that power. Every night, after putting her children to bed, she would sit in the quiet darkness and speak to the infinite presence within her. She would say, "Father, you know my needs. You know every bill, every debt, every obligation. I place them all in your hands. I trust that you are even now making a way where there seems to be no way. I thank you that my needs are met, that provision is flowing, that my children are cared for." And she would sit in the feeling of that trust until peace filled her heart. She did not know where help would come from, but she refused to panic. She refused to let fear dominate her mind. And then the miracles began. A life insurance policy her husband had taken out years ago, one she had forgotten about, was discovered. The amount was enough to pay off the most urgent debts. A former employer of her husband's reached out, offering her a job in their office, a job she was qualified for despite her years away from the workforce. A local charity, hearing of her situation, provided groceries and assistance with utilities for 6 months, giving her time to get on her feet. None of these things came because she worried. None of them came because she rehearsed disaster. They came because she maintained an inner state of faith and trust, and that state of consciousness opened the channels through which infinite intelligence could work. Her subconscious mind, impressed with a belief in divine provision, guided her, attracted the right people, brought the right opportunities, orchestrated the circumstances that saved a family. You have this same access. You have this same connection to infinite intelligence. Your circumstances may be different, but the principle is identical. When you stop trying to solve everything with your limited conscious mind, when you stop feeling that it all depends on your own strength and effort, when you surrender the burden to the infinite power within you and trust that it is already moving on your behalf, you will see solutions appear that you could never have manufactured through worry. There is a passage in the Psalms, the 23rd Psalm, that has brought comfort to millions, and yet most people have never understood its deeper meaning. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. What does it mean to not want? It means you shall not lack. It means that when you recognize the infinite intelligence as your shepherd, as the guiding power of your life, you will always have what you need. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Green pastures represent abundance. Still waters represent peace. This is a promise that the infinite will lead you to abundance and peace if you will follow its guidance. But how do you follow the guidance of the infinite? Through the promptings of your subconscious mind, through the intuitive feelings, the sudden ideas, the quiet impulses that arise when you are in a state of receptivity. When you stop forcing, when you stop straining, when you lie down in the green pastures of faith and rest beside the still waters of trust, the guidance comes. There was a man who had been unemployed for 8 months. He had sent out hundreds of resumes. He had gone to dozens of interviews. Nothing had worked. His unemployment benefits had run out. His savings were gone. He was facing eviction. And he was angry. He was angry at the economy, angry at employers who did not see his value, angry at God for not answering his prayers. But anger is a form of resistance. Anger is a declaration that things should be different than they are, and that declaration keeps you locked in struggle. As long as this man fought against his circumstances, as long as he resented his situation, he remained trapped in it. His consciousness was vibrating at the frequency of lack and frustration, and the universe, responding to that frequency, gave him more experiences to be frustrated about. Then one day, exhausted from the fight, he simply let go. He stopped being angry. He stopped forcing. He sat down and said, I don't know how this will be solved, but I choose to believe that there is a power greater than me that does know. I surrender this situation. I trust that the right opportunity is coming to me now. And for the first time in months, he felt peace. That very evening, he received a phone call from a former colleague he had not heard from in years. The colleague was starting a business and needed someone with his exact skills. The salary offered was more than he had been making before. The position started immediately. The timing was so perfect, the fit so exact, that he could not deny that something beyond his own effort had orchestrated it. He had not sent this person a resume. He had not applied for this job. It came to him the moment he stopped resisting, the moment he opened himself to the guidance of the infinite. This is a principle of non-resistance. This is a power of surrender, not as defeat, but as trust. You may be holding on to your financial problems with clenched fists, trying to control every detail, trying to force solutions that will not come. And in that tension, in that fear-driven effort, you are blocking the very flow of supply you are seeking. What if, tonight, you simply relaxed? What if you opened your hands and said, Infinite intelligence, I give this to you. I trust that you know the way. I trust that you are already solving this. I rest in the certainty that my needs are met. This is not passivity. This is not an excuse to avoid responsible action. This is a recognition that true solutions come not from anxious striving but from alignment with a creative power that knows far more than your conscious mind can ever grasp. And when you align, when you trust, when you feel the peace of the wish already fulfilled, that power moves mountains on your behalf. The Bible tells us in Psalm 37, verse 5, Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Commit your financial situation to the infinite. Trust in the power within you, and it shall bring the solution to pass. Not might, not maybe, shall. This is law. But you must trust completely. You cannot trust on Monday and doubt on Tuesday. You cannot affirm abundance in the morning and complain about lack in the evening. You must be consistent. You must persist in the assumption of your wish fulfilled even when the outer world has not yet changed. This is where the discipline comes in. This is where you prove your faith. Anyone can believe when the evidence is already visible. But to believe before you see, to assume the feeling of wealth before the money arrives, to thank the infinite for provision before the bill is paid, this is a faith that moves the subconscious mind into action. There was a young entrepreneur who wanted to start a business but had no capital. He needed $10,000 for equipment and initial inventory. He had no savings. His credit was poor. No bank would lend to him. Every logical door was closed. But he had heard that the subconscious mind, when directed properly, could attract whatever was needed. So he began to practice. Every night before sleep, he would imagine himself in his new business. He would see the equipment in place. He would imagine customers coming in, purchases being made, money flowing. He would feel the satisfaction of owning his own enterprise. He did not worry about where the $10,000 would come from. He simply assumed it was already on its way. During the day, whenever doubt tried to creep in, he would return to the feeling. He would remind himself that infinite intelligence was handling the details. He continued to take practical steps, researching his business, planning his strategy, but he did so from a state of expectation rather than desperation. 3 weeks into this practice, he received a phone call from an uncle he barely knew. The uncle had recently sold a property and wanted to invest in a family member's venture. He offered exactly $10,000, not as a loan, but as an investment in exchange for a small percentage of future profits. The young man had not asked for this. He had not even known this uncle had money. But the subconscious mind, connected to infinite intelligence, had orchestrated the meeting of his need with the supply that was available. This is how the law works. You do not need to know all the details. You do not need to see the entire path. You need only to maintain the inner conviction that your desire is already fulfilled, and the ways and means will appear. The infinite has 1,000 ways to bring your good to you, ways you have never thought of, channels you do not even know exist. But you must give the subconscious mind clear instruction. You must impress upon it not the problem, but the solution, not the lack, but the abundance, not the fear, but the faith. And the way you impress it is through feeling. The subconscious mind responds to emotion far more powerfully than to words. You can say 1,000 times, "I am wealthy," but if you do not feel wealthy, if the emotion attached to your words is doubt or fear, the subconscious mind will ignore the words and respond to the feeling. It is a feeling that is a creative force. It is the emotion that impresses the deeper mind and sets the law in motion. So when you imagine your bills being paid, you must feel the relief. You must feel the freedom. You must feel the gratitude. You must let the emotion of the wish fulfilled saturate your imagination. And when you do this, when you combine mental imagery with deep feeling, you are creating in the invisible realm, and what is created in the invisible must eventually manifest in the visible. This is a secret that has been hidden in plain sight throughout the scriptures. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, faith is defined as a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is substance. It is evidence. It is the actual reality of your desire existing now in the invisible realm of consciousness, and because it exists there, it must eventually appear in the physical realm. When you lie down tonight and close your eyes, you are not escaping reality. You are entering the realm where all physical reality is formed. You are going to the source. You are impressing upon the creative medium of the subconscious mind the blueprint of what you wish to experience. And that blueprint will be built. But you must protect your blueprint. You must guard your mind from the negative influences that seek to destroy your faith. You must stop listening to people who speak doubt. You must stop watching programs that fill you with fear. You must stop reading articles that prophesy economic doom. All of these things are seeds being thrown into your mental garden, and if you allow them to take root, they will choke out the seeds of abundance you are trying to cultivate. Instead, feed your mind with truth. Read the promises of Scripture. Listen to teachings that build your faith. Surround yourself with a consciousness of abundance. Speak words that align with your desire. Say, Money comes to me easily and frequently. I am a channel for divine abundance. My needs are always met. I am financially free. And say these things not as empty repetition, but with a feeling of their truth. There was a factory worker who barely made enough to cover his rent and food. He wanted to give his children a better life, but he saw no way forward. He was uneducated, unskilled in anything beyond the manual labor he performed. He felt trapped, but he began to use his mind differently. Every day on his lunch break, instead of complaining with his co-workers about low wages and bad management, he would sit alone and imagine a better life. He would see his children in good clothes, attending good schools. He would see himself providing for them abundantly. He would feel the pride and joy of being able to give them what they needed. He did not know how it could happen, but he persisted in the inner vision. One day, a supervisor noticed his positive attitude, his reliability, his refusal to participate in the negativity that plagued the workplace. The supervisor recommended him for a training program the company was offering. The worker applied and was accepted. The training led to a certification. The certification led to a promotion. The promotion doubled his income, but it did not stop there. With his new skills and confidence, he eventually left the factory and started a small contracting business. Within 5 years, he was employing others and earning more than he had ever imagined possible. And it all began with a decision to change his inner world, to stop dwelling on lack and to start assuming abundance. Your story can be the same. Your transformation can begin tonight. You do not need special talents. You do not need connections or degrees or lucky breaks. You need only to understand and apply the law of your own consciousness. You need only to impress upon your subconscious mind the belief that you are prospered, that you are provided for, that infinite intelligence is managing your financial affairs with wisdom and love. And as you do this, night after night, you will begin to see the evidence. You will begin to notice that things are shifting. Opportunities will appear. Ideas will come. People will show up. Money will flow from unexpected sources. And you will know that it is not luck, not coincidence, but the faithful operation of the law you have set in motion. Do not be concerned with how long it takes. Do not set deadlines for the infinite. Do not say, if this doesn't happen by next week, the principle doesn't work. The law operates according to its own timing, which is always perfect. Your job is not to dictate the schedule. Your job is to maintain the faith, to persist in the feeling, to water the seed daily with belief and gratitude. In the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, it is written, For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Your vision of financial freedom has an appointed time. It will surely come. It will not fail. But you must wait for it with faith, not with doubt. You must continue to believe even when the outer evidence has not yet appeared. This is a test. This is where your commitment is proven. Anyone can believe when everything is going well. But to believe when the bank account is still empty, when the bills are still unpaid, when the creditors are still calling, this is a faith that demonstrates mastery. This is a faith that impresses the subconscious mind so deeply that it must produce results. And when the results come, when the first evidence appears, do not stop. Do not say, well, that was nice, but now I'll go back to worrying. Instead, let each small victory strengthen your faith. Let each sign of increase remind you that the law is working. Build momentum. Increase your expectation. Dare to imagine even greater abundance. The infinite is not limited. There is no ceiling to what can flow through you. The only limitation is in your own acceptance, in your own belief about what is possible. If you can expand your consciousness to accept greater wealth, greater freedom, greater provision, the infinite will fill that expanded consciousness. But if you remain constricted in your thinking, if you say, I just want to pay my bills and get by, then that is all you will experience. Dream larger. See yourself not just surviving, but thriving. See yourself not just paying bills, but having surplus. See yourself not just meeting obligations, but blessing others. As you expand your vision, as you accept in consciousness a greater good, the subconscious mind will work to manifest that greater good. There was a single mother working 3 part-time jobs just to keep her children housed and fed. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, hopeless. But a friend told her about the power of the subconscious mind. At first, she dismissed it. She was too tired for what she thought was nonsense. But desperation finally opened her mind. She began to practice. She could only spare 10 minutes before bed, but she used those 10 minutes to imagine a different life. She saw herself in one good job with steady income. She saw herself rested, peaceful, able to spend time with her children. She felt the relief of not having to run from one job to another. She felt the joy of financial stability. Within a month, one of her part-time employers offered her a full-time position with benefits. The salary was enough that she could quit the other 2 jobs. Within 6 months, she received a raise. Within a year, she was promoted to a management role with a salary higher than combined income of her 3 previous jobs. She had not gone back to school. She had not acquired new skills. She had simply changed her consciousness, and her outer world had rearranged itself to match. This is the power that is available to you. This is a law that is operating in your life right now, whether you are aware of it or not. The question is not whether the law works. The question is whether you will use it consciously and deliberately to create the life you desire, or whether you will continue to use it unconsciously, perpetuating the patterns of lack and struggle that have dominated your experience. Tonight is your opportunity to choose. Tonight is your chance to plant a new seed. Tonight, before you sleep, you will turn away from fear and turn toward faith. You will release the burden of trying to figure everything out with your limited mind, and you will trust the infinite intelligence that already knows the solution to every problem you face. You will close your eyes, relax your body, and speak to the presence within you. You will say, "Infinite intelligence, I thank you that my bills are paid. I thank you that my needs are met. I thank you that abundance is flowing into my life now. I rest in the certainty that you are handling my financial affairs, and all is well." And you will feel the truth of those words. You will let the peace of that truth fill you, and you will drift into sleep wrapped in the feeling of financial security. And as you sleep, the subconscious mind will take that feeling, that impression, that belief, and it will begin to wake. It will send out into the universe the vibration of abundance. It will attract to you the people and circumstances that match your inner state. It will guide you to take the actions that will bring your good to you. And when you wake, you will move through your day with a quiet confidence, knowing that the law is operating, that the solution is on its way, that the infinite is even now preparing your blessing. This is not magic. This is not fantasy. This is the way the universe works. This is a principle that has lifted countless souls from poverty to prosperity, from despair to joy, from bondage to freedom. And it will work for you if you will apply it with faith and persistence. God is about to pay your bills because you have aligned your consciousness with divine abundance. You have stopped blocking the flow with fear and doubt. You have opened yourself to receive. And what the infinite desires to give and what you are willing to receive must come together in manifestation. So rest tonight in peace. Let go of the struggle. Trust the process. Believe in the power within you. And watch as your financial world transforms, not because you force it, not because you worried it into submission, but because you changed the consciousness that created it, and a new consciousness is now creating a new experience. The power is yours. The law is certain. The infinite is faithful, and your bills are already paid in the mind of God. Now allow that truth to become your experience by accepting it, feeling it, and living from it. This is your moment. This is your breakthrough. This is the beginning of your financial freedom. Before we close, let me remind you that these teachings are offered for educational and inspirational purposes, to illuminate principles of consciousness that many have found transformative when applied with sincerity and wisdom. The stories shared here are illustrative examples created to demonstrate timeless spiritual laws, not guarantees of specific outcomes. You are a unique individual with your own path, and the infinite works through each life in its own perfect way. Take what resonates with your spirit, apply it with faith and discernment, and trust your own inner guidance as you walk forward. May you be blessed with the awareness of the abundance that is your divine inheritance, and may you rest tonight in perfect peace, knowing that all your needs are met in the infinite mind of God. Amen.